Welcome back, noble heroes. Thank you for coming back and rejoining us for our next session of Mythia. Last session, we joined our characters as they went to a fabulous ball, which two of them hated, one of them was okay with, and one of them actually liked.
Who was the one who actually liked? Was it me?
It was you.
Yeah, I had a great time.
The characters met with two of Harper's crew, Red Chaos, otherwise known as Timothy Benali, and Faline, Princess of Drammel, the Elven Kingdom, an elven warrior herself. And the characters had gone through quite a bit of drama last session. However, they find themselves getting ready to head back to the Adamantine Fortress, where they await their next journey, likely either to a whale tail island out in the middle of the waters or south to the Doom Ridge, where they hope to find a guardian temple, or relic, a panel which the messengers seek in exchange for Walk No Road's life. However, before we get back, first I would like to go ahead and say, if you are enjoying our content, please give us a like and a subscribe. We really appreciate it. And let me give you our pledge. We here at the Homebrew channel reserve the right to be horrible, crass, and crude when the story calls for it, but also to be delightful, sweet, and tug on your heartstrings. And remember, do try this at home. We will begin with a perspective of which we have not seen since a few episodes ago. It had rained on and off for 2 days, and by the endless sky of dark gray clouds, Ace guessed it wasn't going to stop anytime soon. He heard a distant crack of thunder and smiled. It would be difficult to hear their approach. Not that they were talking much. Zio had been quiet since they left Brightstock and headed south for Oak Edge. Some local hero type lived there, the kind of rubes Ace had been convincing to join Satan's hand for decades now. This time, he would perform the approach, wearing one of his many disguises. He had perfected the use of the disguise kit a long time ago, when he first went on the run. He even had a false hero persona for just such occasions. When he was finished applying his false face, he spoke. "We'll scout it out first," he ordered Zio. Then his eyes flicked down to Cayenne. She had proven more willful than he had first imagined, and he had been forced to tie her hands to his arm with a rope. Ace dropped and searched his backpack for an iron spike, which he slipped the loop of his arm rope onto and drilled it into the ground with Face Smasher. At the arrival of the bat, Ace noted the genuine look of horror on Cayenne's face. She would get over that in time, he assured himself. He pulled on the implanted spike and was satisfied that there was no way the young girl could pull it up. "Let's go!" Ace pulled his thumb over his shoulder to point down the slope of the trail towards the town. Every 40 feet or so, Zio would stop and listen for townsfolk. After one such pause, Zio spoke. "The hero's name is Alkin Finn. Don't engage if things go poorly. His fate is too strong to be assured victory." As the tiefling looked up into Ace's face, he saw the look of anger there. "Is your pride wounded? Good. These orders are from Dambleth, and if you die, I'm going to give him the full report of your failure with Eric Grant." The two narrowed eyes at each other, Ace's green ones and Zio's pupilless red ones. Ace turned away from him, disgruntled, but not wanting to mess up his disguise. Then, the subtle noise of a click caused Zio's cat-like reflexes to jerk and leap back as the trap triggered. The whistle of magic missiles sailed through the air and burst on Ace, whose body whipped with the impact. They were still a good 10 minutes away from the town, an unreasonable distance for traps. Ace shook, furious. His disguise had been blasted away from his skin. Zio rolled his eyes. A normal man might have lost a limb to such an assault. It didn't matter anyways, as the sky suddenly seemed to open and rain poured heavily on the two men as the smoke cleared from the small explosions. "Ace and Zio, what a difficult challenge fate has seen fit to bestow on me today." Ace narrowed his eyes at a small figure that dropped down from a nearby tree. "If you know who I am, halfling, I'm afraid you just signed your own coroner's note." Ace pulled out his spiked bat and Zio drew his daggers. "Who are you?" Zio asked from behind the tree he had left behind. Julkin Woodround, at your service. The elderly halfling looked a good 200 years too old to be fighting, much less standing in Ace's way. I've heard of you, Zio stated. Enhanced senses and agility, extended life, and magical talents. Julkin bowed at the recognition. You're also a merc. Satan's hand can provide steady employment to one with your abilities. Zio smiled wickedly. I am priorly engaged with a generous patron at the moment, so I must gladly decline. Since I have heard of both of you as well, Julkin said. I've known you were coming for days now, ever since your violent visit to Brightstock. I can only assume you're here for Ulkin, but I'm afraid you're too late. He was killed in a merfolk raid last month. Ha! You need to work on your lies, old man. Unless it was the Empress herself, no merfolk gang is killing a man with Ulkin's fate, Zio scoffed. Julkin just frowned and seemed to search the dirt at his feet. And yet it is so, the halfling stated flatly. I'm tired of this conversation, Ace roared as he charged. A bolt of lightning flashed in the sky, illuminating the hunger in his eyes. My time waiting for you didn't go to waste, the halfling said as he stood, waiting to accept the charge. Just as soon as Ace neared, several previously invisible runes lit up fiercely as they exploded, toppling a massive tree directly onto Ace, slamming him into the trail. The explosion shook the area and caused a massive cloud of smoke to billow out. Zio cursed and ran forward, intent on jumping to a separate location with his shadow clones if the canny halfling had a second trick up his sleeve. He gladly stomped his hoof hard on the top of the fallen trunk that Ace raged against, trying to free his pinned leg. He drew a small bit of satisfaction from seeing him brought low. Zio leapt at the halfling, who surprised him with a massive jump, soaring up nearly 20 feet to a low branch. You'll have to do better than that, Julkin called. I did, Zio whispered from directly behind him. He had formed a shadow clone in the tree and teleported himself up there, even as Julkin had kept his eyes locked onto the now false Zio on the ground. His dagger plunged into Julkin's neck, tearing his head from his shoulders. Even as the dagger ripped deep, Zio felt the wrongness in the attack. It met with no resistance. An illusion! Zio realized his grave error as the spell hit him, now that he had revealed his true position. Julkin banished Zio. From his hidden nook, Julkin emerged and ran forward towards the banging noise. He had to reach Ace before he freed himself. Leaping the 20 or so feet up into the air, Julkin landed on a low branch as his illusion had done moments before, and saw that he still had the warrior trapped. He triggered the remainder of his runes with a mental command, toppling 3 additional trees to slam down on the human. Then he unleashed all his magic. A gravity well farther crushed the trees down onto him, and into that vortex he threw his most powerful and deadly spells. Several fireballs and lightning bolts, followed by acid arrows, and finally the last of his magic missiles zoomed into the smoke. Julkin was sweating as he watched the roaring inferno of trees, no longer able to see Ace below the large chunks of wood. If the spells didn't kill him, hopefully Ace would suffocate with all the smoke. But the fire was struggling against the downpouring rain. He could feel his time on the banishment ticking down, and he couldn't afford to fight them both at once. He leapt down and rushed forward, readying his magical staff. Julkin had known Ace was nigh invulnerable, but even he gaped as the warrior rose from the flames, seemingly completely unharmed. Ace shrugged off a 300-pound log. As he shoved it sideways, he ripped off burning bark. He did feel the unpleasant sting of fire. It was far too hot, but he knew that if he pushed past that feeling, it could do him no harm as long as his internal temperature didn't cause him to pass out. Ace threw the burning ash in the halfling's eyes, and the battle began. Julkin's efforts were exceptional, even heroic, but it was only a matter of time. He didn't have eternal stamina, and all those jumps eventually took their toll on his speed. Blinded and battered, the old merc struggled to keep one eye open as tears or rain poured down his face. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds caused by Face Snatcher's nails, and one particularly nasty bite wound on his shoulder from when Ace had a hold on him. It was lively and quick, but not exciting. Ace was casual in his swings, goading when it suited him. He knew Julkin had intentionally led him away from where Zio would emerge, but he didn't care. Zio would rendezvous back at Cayenne. Then Ace realized that Julkin had been leading him back in that direction for several minutes now, leaping and running towards his new soldier. Did he know where she was? Enraged by the thought, Ace bull-rushed Julkin and tackled him to the ground, finally pinning him. He was lost in the rage. As his fists shattered the halfling's jaw easily, and he went to tear his skull apart, something struck him hard. Standing in blinding rage, Ace was stopped dead when he saw a teenager. A half-elf boy had sent him flying. He easily saw the fear, the trepidation on his youthful features as he showed his fists. Ace was thoroughly taken aback and stood dumbfounded for a few moments. Could he fight a boy? The half-elf ran forward to sock him again. This time he felt it deep in his bones, a pain he hadn't felt since Roland. He flew nearly 20 feet and landed dazed on a rock. The boy was helping the broken halfling up, and somehow Julkin was able to stand. Then Ace's eyes widened. He saw Harper and Opt emerge from the woods not 100 yards away. It was clearly time to go. Opt pulled out his bow and with uncanny accuracy pelted Ace with nearly 100 arrows before he found cover behind the ridge.
Go.
Ace heard the boy tell Harper and Opt that he was going to Cayenne. He frowned deeply. He couldn't go back there to get her now. He would have to leave the girl or else risk getting caught. He ran. He wasn't going back to the Ilium. His mind was racing. Maybe what Julkin had said was true. If Julkin had needed to call Harper and Opt, maybe Ulkin was dead. Maybe fate was more damaged than they thought. As he ran, he noted a persistent pain in his face. With great confusion, Ace was forced to fix his dislocated jaw. The act of having to reset his jaw made him stop dead. Then Ace couldn't help but smile maniacally. He felt real pain. Times were a-changing, indeed.
Terrifying.
We begin after our heroes have been to a luxurious ball. And Yuffie, you had gone to leave before the others. As you began to head towards the coaches, you push your way through the crowds with fair ease being a halfling. Most of the people here are tall folk, making it quite easy to fit between them. You are followed, however, as Bali sees you walk towards that direction in some haste, and then is coming after you. Yuffie, what's wrong?
Euphemia pauses but doesn't turn to face Bali. It's nothing. I'm going back to my room. See you in the morning. She tries to continue on.
Well, I should probably head back too, she says as she begins to follow you.
No, it's coming.
She quickens her pace. She's trying to not show her face. She knows the moment she turns around, Bali's going to know that things are not okay.
Oh, you know she knows it already.
You'll see Hero, who is standing, speaking quietly, it looks like a rabbit, with is big, standing adjacent to the two of them, sort of half bent over, leaning his ear down to hear what they're saying. He's going to sort of catch his large eyes on you and watch the two of you rove across the floor together. And then he's going to sort of like hold up his hand towards her, like, oh, I have to go do this. And he begins also to give chase.
Can't get away.
Bali is going to follow you to the exit doorway where the guards are going to stand in facing the opposite direction of your coming. You're coming towards their backs. And there are no more nobles coming up the steps now that the doors have been opened to allow people to exit, but nobody's coming in this late to the party. As you head down the stairs, you do hear Bali stop following you on the stairs. You will see your coach.
Euphemia would keep going. She wants Bali to have this night for herself without being burdened by the shit that Euphemia always gets them into.
Roll a perception check.
Oh, I can re-roll. Right? Yeah?
A
Can you
1?
get a 1?
I got a 1.
Yes, you can re-roll.
You're the only person who gets so happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I got a 19. Okay. Perception check?
Yeah.
It is a 27.
You will hear Bali begin to weep.
She's going to take another step and then stop and just kind of wince to herself a little bit.
Then you hear, Euphemia! Wait, where are you going? From Hero.
Euphemia has her face down, but she kind of realizes the jig is up. She'll turn and face Hero.
You will see him looking at Bali, and you see that Bali seems deeply aggrieved. She looks very affected. More affected than she should.
Euphemia approaches her. Bali, what?
She's going to look up at you through just stricken look on her face. I didn't realize that it would affect you so much, she says. And then she's going to sort of pass by you.
Euphemia will grab her arm immediately.
She says, I'm sorry I'm so repugnant to you.
Euphemia will say, you should know me better than that. Bali, this has nothing to do with you. This is just more of shit I've gotten into. It has nothing to do with you.
How am I supposed to believe that? Back in the garden, you said that this was a terrible night. What have you done except for that?
Look,
Hero is a little awkwardly watching. And,
watching us get into a fight.
Yeah, he seems to lack the decorum to look away. Maybe it's a meek thing.
At least he's
Let's
not getting
say
out
that.
some watermelon.
That sounds very meek.
She'll say, I really didn't want to go into this right now. This isn't the place for it.
Roll a persuasion check. DC 14.
It's a 1 again.
Oh my lord! Alright, you get to reroll.
So much value out of that.
That's amazing. What are the odds?
Yes, I am always a halfling.
This is a
Always.
19. I'm gonna like.
Oh, 1 again! Why?
Wow!
How is this happening?
Can you
Wow!
re-roll one?
No, it's a single reroll.
So
What?
it's a 9.
Oh, that's awful.
No, wow.
Wait, persuasion or perception? I'm sorry.
Persuasion.
Persuasion. Okay.
1.
It's a 3.
It's better than a 1.
It's better than a 1.
Yikes.
She goes, look, I know how they feel in Aragoth about my kind. She's going to sort of rip her hand away from you. She says, sorry, Hero, we can't talk about these things in front of you.
Euphemia looks deeply affected by the fact that she would believe that Euphemia would still hold on to some of the horrible things that she'd been taught in Aragoth.
You see that Bali is unreasonably angry. She is burning hot.
Euphemia doesn't have it in her to be kind right now. She looks at Bali and tears start to well a little, and she says, fine, and she turns and walks back to the coach.
As the two of you go to turn away from one another, both of your hands are going to be grabbed by smaller hands. And you will suddenly feel what you believe is the profile of the other's emotions.
does she feel from Bali?
There is something underlying that, though. Something strange. There is certainly a righteous indignation, a callous desire to hurt you that you recognize most assuredly as Bali. But under that is this kind of simmering... Let me rephrase that. Underneath that is a kind of strong will holding back something. And you believe that's Hero. Bali's gonna turn around. What do you have to be so sad about? She says.
Do you know that man I left with at the ball?
She says, I wasn't really paying too much attention.
She gives a little half quirk to her lip, like she's kind of happy that Bali was enjoying herself instead of paying attention to the horribleness. She says, he's from Aragoth. I got some... I don't know how much of it is true. She waits a beat. And then she looks up. He told me Pearl is dead.
You see a range of emotions go through Bali's face, ending with a deep pain, likely for the act of wounding you. She's going to grab on both of your hands. I'm sorry, I screwed up, she says.
Euphemia leans forward.
I love you.
She looks at her a beat, and then rushes her to grab her tight. She leans in. Bali. Please, no matter what. And then she grips her tighter. Please never make me lose another sister.
Gain a hero point.
Not gonna cry.
Hero is mysteriously absent from your reunion. As Isaac, you begin to head towards the exit slowly as the ball seems to be drawing to a close. Seeing Shadow's strange transformation into her teenage self has got Prongor a-chattering about creatures that you made during your experiments with dark magic back in the cave. Do you remember that old desk that we carried all the way down there, Master? Knee-deep in frigid cave water. That was back when you had that rock thing, Master. The one made out of connected boulders.
I do remember that. I quite missed that desk.
Whatever happened to that rock thing, Master?
Let me think. I think it accidentally toppled over a ledge one day and just fell into pieces.
He says, right on our journey. That was near Candle, wasn't it?
I believe so. I should get around to making another one of those. I do think it would be useful, although I don't know if we'd be able to fit it on the ship.
Master, maybe one of those flesh golems. Do you remember those things? when I got all those bodies together.
God.
Isaac, he kind of shudders at the thought of it and then is surprised that he's having any sort of negative reaction to it, because before he would have been like...
Growth!
He would have thought the prospect of, like, flesh golems stitched together out of cadavers was awfully exciting, but now it kind of slightly disgusts him. But he doesn't let it show, and he says, I do remember Prongor, and did those things ever bother you? As they stomped around, making those moaning sounds and bits and bobs of flesh falling off at times. Did it ever gross you out?
Yes, Master, they did bother me. They were very annoying to clean up after.
I see.
I think that perhaps if we make one of them, we should also make some kind of broom monstrosity in order to follow it around appropriately.
I think from now on we'll just stick to making them out of stone. Much easier to watch after.
I feel as though the metal ones are a little gauche.
Well, I don't think we're too worried about gaucheness nowadays.
Well, they like those iron golems in Girin, he says, but it's very tacky.
What do you think of the barrel golems they would use down at the docks?
Oh, I like those. They're very jovial.
I agree.
I like it when the you can still see the maker's mark on the side of the barrel, Master.
Oh, that's a nice detail. I didn't think about that. Okay, I asked Prongor which one was his favorite. If we were to make another, what would he pick?
Do you know which one was my favorite, Master?
Which?
My favorite was Epicen. You
Epicen.
remember when you first met Prongor and he first came into your estate, you had left the first construct you had ever awoken, a small play doll that was important to Isaac during his childhood, on a shelf. And Isaac had Prongor had grabbed it with the intent of cleaning it, and you had told him not to, that it was a memory. And from then on, he was very careful with it, and for your 25th birthday, he had it restitched entirely, but you had left it in Selenox.
Well, Prongor, that's not the answer I was expecting. What do you think ever happened to that doll? We just left it in those caverns, didn't we?
No, Master. It's in your father's liquor cabinet.
How did it end up there?
Well, after you left the estate, he says, when your mother had come by during the rebellion, I had given it to her for safekeeping, and she had told me where it would be kept. A place that would never go away, she said.
Amongst that city falling into flames, you thought to save that doll.
It was important to you, Master.
Thank you, Prongor. That's very thoughtful of you. It makes me happy knowing that one day I may be able to go back to it.
He says, it wasn't particularly useful, except for cuddling, which is what it was made for, Master.
Yes, it was.
But it was very good for that.
What do you think the rest of the crew would think if I walked back onto the ship holding a play doll to cuddle with? You think they'd make fun of me?
I don't know, Master.
Would you make fun of me?
No.
That's good.
If he gave it really sharp teeth, probably not.
But I have to make the doll insidious looking. Like fit my character. That's funny. Well, Prongor, on a different note, do you think we should go help that tiefling gentleman we just spoke to at the party?
He's going to sort of try to look around. He goes, oh, there he is, Master. Well, you did say that you would. And he is offering quite a bit of money.
I did. Let's go see what he's working with. I think we have enough time.
You head over in that direction. Roland and Juniper, the two of you have begun your walk back together from the garden, with Shadow crawling through the Shadow Realm somewhere nearby.
I hate to argue with you, but I did not. They went together. I stayed with Red.
Mm-hmm.
But Red had left you.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. I listened to the end of last session.
Oh, well, then clearly I don't remember the end of last
Remember, he
session.
said, bye, I'm going to send you a note telling you that I know all your
Oh,
secrets.
that's right. Yeah.
I can't take
And
it.
then you kept
See,
saying
you know
it.
what? This is appropriate that I don't remember this. What did you say?
Yeah.
What?
What? I don't know. So Roland's going to come walking out of the darkness nearby.
She looks vaguely puzzled for a moment as she looks around herself and shrugs.
Tonight's weird. I think she's okay now, though. And he's kind of like looking around like she's around somewhere. Are you okay?
It's been a night.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly fond of balls. Bad things usually tend to happen.
Well, here you are, Annalise says. Thank you for that, by the way. Oh, hello, Roland.
Oh, you're talking about the credit?
Yes, I'm very pleased to be mistaken, she says, looking towards you.
Appreciate it.
Either way, I've got my picture taken for the local news pamphlet.
Oh, it won't show up anyway, you know it.
She says, I allowed it to.
She raises an eyebrow.
She says, I don't look like this anymore anyway.
She just shrugs.
Where's Zarfin?
Last I saw him, he was inside? Was he doing anything that I know?
He's probably, you might guess, resting or eating.
She's not going to say that. He was inside last I saw.
Well, I think Euphemia is headed for the exit. Let's go make sure we still have enough coaches to fit everybody.
Yeah, I'm kind of beat. I'm ready for bed. Are we, when do you think we're gonna leave?
Probably tomorrow,
Okay.
assuming how everyone is doing afterwards.
So, shall we head for the door then?
She nods. June is back to her. The overly quiet self that she was before the interactions that just happened.
Okay. Yuffie, as you head to the coach, is Bali with you?
I would expect that she probably would come with her at that point.
The coachmaster is going to see the two of you and then kind of like look behind you. Ladies, he says.
Yes.
Do you need anything?
A way back to our rooms would be nice.
Well, each coach can only fit a maximum of 4. There are more than 4 remaining if I take just the two of you.
Are you saying you would like us to go collect 2 others?
I'm just saying you'll strand your friends, ma'am.
She looks at Bali. Shall we go collect 2 more?
She says, who should we collect?
Whoever's closest. By the way, she looks around. Where did Hero go?
I think he went back in the ball.
Well, good for him.
No, there he is, she says, as Hero's coming towards you. Hero is going to walk up towards Euphemia, and he's going to look grumpy. He walks up, and then he sort of like is going to look down at your hand and like grab it and then like pull you away from Bali.
She'll go along with him.
Okay. So I've been talking to Looks Like a Rabbit, and I've tried to convince her to come out here and do this, but she's not going to. So she's not gonna do what she said. She's not interested in doing anything but living in Bridgewalk and hatting. I don't think she ever intended to.
How do you feel about that? She asks him.
I'm pissed. Suddenly, almost as if some kind of floodgate has opened, Hero is going to say, I'm just so sick of my people letting everybody else take care of them and do everything for them, like we're children or incapable of making decisions for ourselves. I'm so tired that we can't even take the time to stand up for ourselves and actually take responsibility for things. I mean, it's not even that hard, right? I mean, become a village elder. It's not a lot of responsibility. You don't have to just design a street. Go out there on the construction site and see the street. Look, this is why he goes on this rant for like 4 minutes about...
Euphemia is smiling a little bit, actually. Like, she looks touched and proud. Like, she understands what it is to be helpless. Not as much as Amik, but she looks really impressed by him in this moment, actually. Just being honest about how unfair things have been.
He said, Meeks never find their own purpose, and historically never have. Except for Reed's fates, he says. And then he sort of like looks off in a direction, and you see this sort of vaguely wistful expression. He says, that's who I based my life on, but everybody else thinks I'm an idiot. He looks down at the ground and sort of scruffs the dirt with his foot.
Euphemia.
Sorry.
Don't apologize. You'd never let me apologize for feeling something.
That's true.
She steps forward and touches his arm.
You're going to see him withdraw. Sorry, he says. Did you get that?
Get what? She asks.
Nothing then.
Maybe they don't dream of something more because they don't have, and she looks at him, an example to follow.
Well, I guess they're never going to.
Aren't
Because
they?
no Meek is ever born like that, he says.
Euphemia waits a beat.
Bali's gonna like look over at you and she'll literally just roll her eyes. She's sort of like looking away, and she's gonna kind of continue powdering her face.
Hero, she says. I'm talking to that Meek right
Dun, dun, dun. You hear what is almost assuredly an alarm ring throughout the city.
Now what?
Hero's gonna like look around suddenly, and you see the guards additionally look startled, as though they also were unawares of this.
Euphemia turns to the guard. What is this?
The guards are about 40 yards back up the hill. You're just seeing them in the light of the manor.
She'll look at Hero and at Bali. Let's go see what's going on.
All of you hear some kind of alarm. You can also see that the line has sort of forming a big blockade at the manor doorway as people try to get out towards their carriages in an orderly fashion.
Where's Rafe?
You will see Zarafan in his dapper suit again, over at the grub table. And he sort of is vaguely, discreetly chewing on something.
Such an odd thing to see. Anyway, she's gonna split off from you to go grab him.
As you head over towards him, he's gonna like audibly swallow and then go, "What's that?"
I don't know. But we're gathering up over by the carriages.
"Maybe we should go that way towards Queen Astrid," he says.
Not a poor plan.
"Roland, the Queen's this way," he says. "Where's Shadow?"
Somewhere.
Around.
You walked up to Matan's sept. "Ah, are you ready?" he says.
Are the alarms going off yet?
You're back in time.
Okay. Yes. Let's go.
As you all begin, you're about halfway through this big horde of nobles sort of preening over themselves and faintly talking about how dapper such and such was, or how beautiful the gowns were, as you head out. When you additionally will hear this alarm bell. Even with your height, you're unable to see over the mass to either crowd without pushing your way through. As the alarm begins to sound, you're suddenly going to feel a vague sense of danger as the crowd suddenly begins to get a little rough. The nobles, the ones at the front, are clearly like trying to rush out, and the ones behind are shoving forward. It's not dangerous yet, but like if they're panicking, they may also have an idea what's happening
The nobles might.
by their sudden actions.
Isaac's going to use his... Well, actually, no. I'm still walking with that tiefling noble, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to turn to him and say, "What is going on? Why is everyone panicking like this?"
That's the air raid bell.
Air raid bell? What does that indicate?
Usually dragons.
Unfriendly dragons.
They don't ring it for Ferric, he says.
How often does this happen?
Very rarely. It's been almost 5 years.
Okay. I may have to take a rain check on that favor I was going to do for you.
He says, "Consider it a rainy day." He's going to, if you, sir, would get me out of this crowd without getting crushed. I'll take it, master, Prongor says. "Why don't you figure out what's going on?"
Prongor, are you sure?
He says, "I've got it."
Okay. Isaac will split off from them and try and...
Do you head back in or out?
He's going to head back in, which is opposite of the crowd, right?
Then
Yeah.
you all will look over at the crowd as Zarafan sort of looks around for Isaac. And you will see Zarafan sort of like hold up his hand towards you, and you see the little cluster of Roland, Juniper, Annalise, and Zarafan
That's
near
how
the
they
table.
exist.
As Isaac's approaching, he's kind of like disrobing from his designer's outfit, and underneath he just has like his totally normal adventurer's gear on anyways. And so he just kind of like drops it to the floor and kicks it aside as he approaches you guys.
I feel like you like pull open your shirt
Yeah.
and there's just a skull in the middle of it.
And this
Nice.
dark cultist comes out of his... Yeah.
Cool.
You all see Isaac come over to join you, and you rush off in the direction of where Estrid and her queen guard went, which was back into the manor. So in this ballroom, there was several servant doors that led likely deeper into the house. And one of the guards is waiting there, and he sees all of you approach. And he says, he sort of is going to like hold up his hand, but then he kind of like seems to think about it and says, "Come on through."
Good man.
He says, "The queen will likely want to talk with you." As you all, he's going to describe that she is basically up the stairs, and there's a small, like, study chamber that she's currently in. You all will spiral up the staircase as Bali and Euphemia and Hero outside. What are the three of you doing? You said you were headed back towards the mass of people coming out the manor?
We would have been approaching that.
Okay. You are looking at this, like, a horde of people rushing out to their carriages. And as you're about 30 yards back up the hill, looking at the doorway in front of you, you're suddenly going to see... So there's this, like, overcast black sky as night has fallen. And it's pretty deep. But you're going to suddenly see people looking up. And as your eyes raise to join them, you see something like a light. A large reddish light shining out from the thick clouds up above. And it seems to be moving like a great whale through water.
Too soon for the whale. Sorry.
Euphemia glances over at Bali and Hero and says, "Is that what I think that could be?"
Whatever it is alarmingly large. The light is what you would guess would probably be about the size of the manor house that you are currently standing adjacent to. And as you see it, you're also going to see 2 pairs of 3 Drake guards soaring in formation, swiftly rising towards the clouds. Do you continue to watch, or do you move and are unable to watch towards the door?
She'll look at them. First she'll look at Hero. Wares looks like a rabbit.
He says, "She's inside."
Let's go get her and get someplace safe.
Okay, you choose not to watch them as you head towards the doors. You are going to suddenly hear a gasp from the clouds. Does that cause you to turn?
She'll turn, but she'll
clouds
gesture.
gasp?
The nobles gasp while looking at the clouds, I meant to say.
Okay.
The clouds gasp.
It's a very different image in my head,
Yeah.
okay? I
Right.
thought something up there was gasping.
So Euphemia will gesture to Hero, like, keep going, go get her, and then she'll pause to look back up.
Roll a disadvantage perception check, please. Actually, you don't have disadvantage because Bali aids you as she turns around as well.
Thank you, Bobby.
Oh my god!
That's so sick.
It's a 1.
It's
the hell?
unbelievable that you've rolled 4 1s.
She rolled
already
it
in
straight into her
session.
pencil. I don't think it would have landed on 1 if it didn't hit her pencil.
Okay, there we go. It's not a 1.
It's
That was-
unreal.
Awesome. It's impressive,
All right.
honestly.
12.
Sad way. Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
You only see something small and black shoot down from the clouds and then separate. One slightly larger thing and one slightly smaller thing plummets towards the water.
Oh no.
You are going to see the light sort of begin to rove away from that location towards what you would consider the west of Bridgewalk,
What's in the west of Bridgewalk?
the Adamantine Fortress.
She'll look at Bali. I think we need to get back to the fortress.
I think you're right, she says as you both head towards the many kneecaps of the taller folk. Dragons, Queen Estrid says as the door opens. We believe multiple of them. She's going to gesture towards a small wooden table that seems to have been set up.
Any idea on lineage?
She says, we haven't gotten a good look at them yet. As you all come up, you see an illusionist is currently projecting a map of Bridgewalk down on the table. And he is apparently receiving sendings from around the city because he is adjusting from one location to another the area in a large dot of light, which the dragons are currently located through the city.
Do we see any patterns popping up?
As you look down, you will see the dragons move over towards past the adamantine fortress and land somewhere in the countryside on the west. They land in a corpse of hilly trees. Copse. Is that it?
Okay, it's not a corpse, I can tell you that.
Is it a copse? Is that how you say it? Copse? Cops?
It's cops. And I don't like it. I like copes better, but technically I think it is actually cops.
I don't like cops either.
A group of trees.
That's not what I meant!
A small group of thick trees on that side. Estrid is not speaking as she apparently is communicating through sendings throughout the city. She's going to say, "We've lost 2." And you'll see the human captain of the guard, the one who threatened you all with a bridge lock, right after Potjack. He is going to be taking a tally on a large scroll piece of paper with an ink pen. She says, "The Drake Guards are trying to get a clear look. We have a wizard." She's going to turn. You see the same court wizard who got the jars for you when you were dealing with the disease. She says, "Here, scrying. Visual." She's going to point at the area the map is located. He is going to pull out this ornate holder, these 4 little like lion's feet made of gold, and he places down, he sort of pulls out this treasure box, an ornate treasure box, and then he's going to place down a crystal ball atop of it. And he's going to sort of touch it and vaguely massage it as you see the smoke inside sort of respond to his fingers. And he's going to rip the smoke away, like cracking an egg. And you will see a rather dark visage. What appears to be 3 figures. But there is one of them appears by the size of the trees next to them. You're gaining a generalized sense of size, but it's too dark to really see much of a color. The outlines that you see, however, are alarming. You will see what appears to be a smaller, perhaps roughly horse-sized dragon at the feet of a significantly larger dragon, perhaps about the size of a building. And both of those are dwarfed by what appears to be a dragon standing upright on its hind legs, literally standing as a bipedal creature would. And it is about the size of the evergreen tree in height that it is next to, which is about 6 stories tall.
Can I assume that we have a young dragon, an adult dragon, and an ancient dragon?
It would seem so.
Okay.
Is there anything I can do to help?
She is going to watch, and she holds up her finger for a moment. You're going to see what appears to be the largest dragon. It's going to turn, so you're only getting this side of its face as they look on from one side. But the dragon's going to turn, and when it reveals this eye, you're going to see this eye is shining, undead-like, in the night, like a lich's eye. You see a point of light situated in the middle of what appears to be a fractal of open skull. And then as it rears back and unleashes its breath weapon, a great fiery blaze towards the likely in the shadow realm sensor. The sensor will be covered in fire, but just before, Estrid is going to very calmly hold up her hand, and then she's going to gesture, and the mage is going to slowly take his fingers and sort of brush lightly along the crystal, rewinding the image a few seconds. As the creature rears back and the burst of flame leaps out of its mouth, just before the flame bursts into a cone that basically obscures the image, it lights all of the dragons. He is going to stop and freeze that image in the crystal ball and then turn it towards all of you. Juniper, you are looking at a relic. A dragon that you remember from the first Dragon War.
Oh dear. Oh no. Which one is it?
It is a daughter of Kazor when he still had daughters. She is very clearly a Draco Lich.
What was her name?
Her name was Kelstraz, the Hunter.
June's eyes widen. She goes,
Kelstraz, Zarfan says.
that it is.
I thought she was dead.
She is dead.
Yes, I got that. The second dragon, the adult,
What?
you have also seen before. Roland, you recognize Andarax the Wildfire, the dragon who challenged you to a duel on the boat.
I knew that would come back.
And the third one is a small young dragon. One which you would need a high Arcana check in order to recognize.
I
You're
will
talking
try.
a 25.
Give me a second. I forgot to get out my dice. You can close it. It's fine. Can I be aided by Zarathan?
Sure.
Excuse me. I need to get back in there. Goodman.
No problem. I was trying to be proactive and I just made more trouble.
It's all good. I appreciate it. Well, neither of us are great today. I don't even know what my... I think that's it. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not. 18 is my highest.
Okay. You do not recognize the young dragon. Likely less than 2 decades old.
Just a baby. I don't recognize the youngest. I recognize the 2 older ones, though.
But they're both, all 3 are flames of Kazor.
Are all of them undead?
No, only the eldest.
Okay, just checking.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to know these things.
The flame has burned up the scrying sensor. What do you know of this dragon? Estrid says towards you.
The ancient is a Dracolich named... what is it, Kelistra?
Kelstraz.
Kelstraz. She's the daughter of Kazor, direct descendant.
With a fate, Zarfan says. She is called the Hunter. Her senses are enhanced well beyond those of any one of her kin. She is able to smell in the same way that angels see.
The younger one, the middle one, I suppose he's an adult. I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. She would say the right name.
Andarax,
Andarax the Flame?
the Wildfire.
The Wildfire. Andarax. A red who recently challenged Roland.
Oh, that one.
She looks at you and goes, which you ignored, after saying you'd fight him.
I'm sure he doesn't know you're here, Zarfan says. Analyst is going to kind of look up like, you don't know that.
Yeah.
I want profiles now. Estrid says towards her court wizard.
June will say as much as she knows.
Okay. Though she doesn't have true sight, Kalistraz basically has true sight. Her sense of smell is able to smell magic and through the shadow realm.
I smell the future. Sorry.
It's not quite that good. But basically, she can track over the course of Mythia.
I'm gonna go get changed.
Sounds like
Can
a
I
good
borrow
plan.
a drink?
That's probably a poor idea.
He says, I have a feeling. Something to do. It is not a good idea for you to leave, she says. Have Roland's armors brought to us, she says to her guard captain, and his weapon.
June just does this, and then her illusion falls off, and she's wearing, she's gonna be wearing, oh my god. It's been a long week, I'm sorry. What the hell is my cloak's name?
Tribute.
Thank you. Yes, she's wearing tribute.
Euphemia, Bali, and Hero are suddenly going to enter the room. As soon as you came in, you see that the Meeks have been escorted to like a safe room in the manor. Pretty much everyone left inside was. The Meeks were too nervous to leave with the alarms going off, so we're taking shelter under the noble's care here, who is holding the ball. But a guard came towards you and told you that your friends were with Queen Estrid and that you were free to join them, which I imagine you took him up on the offer.
She'd say, take us there.
Okay. Bali's going to walk in. What's going on?
She shrugs.
She's asking the rest of the room.
Catch them up very quickly and quietly.
Okay.
Was it Adarax?
Andarax.
And okay.
Nebel, the Al Aarakocra, is going into the room. He says, My queen, I have copied down the profiles. The younger one is called Trajan, the Snapper. He does have a fate that we may wish to look at. He is going to lay down 3 kind of bare bones-ish profiles. The eldest dragon just has a name, and it's like a historical record that is very old looking by the year date. This looks like the beginning of Bridgewalk.
What?
The second one, Andarax, has a significantly full folder of atrocities associated with his name, heroes who have died in fights with him.
We probably should have killed him.
And
Y'all said we didn't have time.
I wanted you to kill him.
the year of his egg and his breed and which brood he's with. And then the small one is there's a name like a sketch that looks like it was done by like a profile artist, and it shows a much younger. It looks like wormling. With a rather distinctive sort of hairstyle. He's got these little
Spike style?
upright spikes that come off of him, and it says fate, large teeth. And then Estrid's going to say, large teeth? I did get an explanation. Apparently, when the dragon bites someone, he is able to pull his gums back, and his teeth enlarge, cutting most prey in twain. Hence the snapper, Nebel says.
Yikes.
Oh.
Y'all have fun with that one.
So you know how a great white, when it has just a normal looking mouth and then it pulls back its gums and it's these giant ass teeth? That's how he is. But his teeth literally also enlarge. You're going to see Estrid turn and whisper towards the guard captain, who's going to mark 3 more corpses on his tally sheet. She says, what are they doing there?
What's over there?
Nothing, she says, looking at the field. It's been about 20 minutes now.
Does Andarax have a fate?
Not an important one.
Just an asshole.
Not one relevant to his persona.
Just checking.
He's known for being a bit of a pyromaniac.
He's a red. He's Kazor's kid. What do you expect?
Yeah. I mean,
Ancestor. No, descendant. That's the direction we need to go with that.
So, he prefers the breath weapon to the frontal assault, which is unusual for a red.
Remind me which dragon Kazor is. Is that the dragon of
War.
No, he's the war one. He's the one that doesn't have a territory
Because he sucks.
because he's an evil asshole who made a giant war happen.
Because he sucks.
Yes, he's
Got
horrible.
it. Got
I
it.
hate Kazor.
If it's been 20 minutes, Isaac's gonna speak up and say, has anyone tried to make contact with them yet if they're just sitting there?
Yeah, when's my armor getting here?
Are they biding their time before they begin?
They have killed 5 men that have approached them. Estrid says towards you.
I see.
Maybe they need the right messenger.
Well, one of them already wants to fight me.
I did think he looked familiar.
One-on-one, I won't worry about you, but there are 3.
Is it normal for dragons to
Travel like this? I don't know.
work together like this? Yeah, it's weird.
Yes.
She says,
Especially with such an age range between them.
it is likely the older two are training the younger one.
I see.
Zarafan is going to say, there's nothing tactical about their movements yet that I can see. He says, looking down, they've merely gone to an area where they can wait and cover. But there's a better location on the north side. Right here. He points. Nebel's going to say, what if they were already there? They could have been here longer, in that cover before they moved. But why move then? Zarafan says. I do not know.
What was the name of the oldest one?
Kelstras.
Kelstras. Isaac's going to look to Juniper and say, there must be something significant going on to drive a dragon of that age to action. Can you all think of anything?
You're going to feel the staff rattle. All right. As the staff vibrates in Isaac's hand and you all consider your options, we will go ahead and call the session there for the time being, Noble Heroes. Thank you for coming to join us. We really appreciate it. Do like and subscribe if you would, and please do remember to try this at home. Thank you so much.